Welcome to the Transum Podcast, a monthly roundup of the new features on the transum.org website, providing mathematical puzzles, games, learning activities, and the ever-popular mathematics lesson starter of the day. Here's your host, John Tranter.
Hello, and welcome to podcast number 42. Wow. Okay, I hope the last month went well for you and that you've managed to find what you need on the Transum website and are looking forward to the month of May. So let's start off with the puzzle of the month, which was inspired by my visit to London last weekend, and I was lucky enough to see the London Marathon in glorious weather. Well, it was very nice weather for the spectators. I think it was a little too hot for the runners. But anyway, let's take a typical runner, and she runs the first half of the marathon at an average speed of 5 miles per hour. So the question is, what speed would she have to run the second half of the course to attain an average speed of 10 miles per hour for the whole race? Okay, so she runs the first half of the marathon at an average speed of 5 miles per hour. What speed would she have to run the second half if she wants to have an overall average for the whole race of 10 miles per hour? So at this point, I imagine what you're doing when you're listening to this podcast, and please let me know how you listen to this podcast. But I'll give you thinking time now while I run through the new items that were added to the Transum website last month. And the answer to the puzzle will be at the end of this podcast. The new addition to the website in April that I am most excited about is the Transum version of the Royal Game of Ur. It's a very strange title for a game, but it's, the Transum version is called the Remainder Race. And players have to get 7 counters around a very traditionally shaped board, and the number of hops they can make is determined by the remainder left when the number on the square is divided by the chosen dice number. In addition to the numeracy skills required, there are some interesting strategies to be discovered. And it's a game for 2 players, or you could have 1 player playing against the computer. In fact, when I wrote the code for the computer to play, occasionally the computer would beat me while I was testing the game, which was a little bit annoying, but there you go. I'm keen to see how well it works with you and your pupils, so please let me know. So, I actually wrote half of the code for the game on a long-haul plane journey into London, and as I was doing so, I made it my mission to visit the British Museum and photograph one of the 2 original game boards, which date from before 2600 BC. And one of them is in the British Museum, Gallery 56. So it's probably one of the oldest pieces of board gaming equipment ever found. So I was keen to see that and photograph it for the website. So, here is my mission to find it as a sound-seeing tour. It is the most beautiful weather here in London. It's the weekend of the London Marathon. The sun is shining, and I'm just walking now towards the British Museum to see if I can find the Royal Game of Ur. So I can just about see the front of the museum in the distance. 1 more road to cross, and then we will be there. Bedford Square. So actually just crossing Bedford Square. Sort of a railed-in park with some huge trees. So we've got crossing here. Right, I'm now through security and into the museum. It seems very quiet, no queues. and I'm looking for the information desk so I can ask about this item. Here we go. Excuse me, where's the information desk, please?
In the great court there, just head to the far left corner.
Thank you. In the great court. The great court. Very impressive. Huge dome constructed of triangles and a few totem poles. Bookshop, of course. Lots of books on sale at the bookshop. Now I can see the information desk. Haha. And there are no queues there. Hello, where's the information desk, please?
Just behind this people.
Thank you. Right, the item I'm looking for is 120834.
The Game of Earth.
Yes.
Yes, it's going to be upstairs.
Upstairs.
Level 3 in gallery 56. Do you have a map with you?
I don't have a map, no.
If you just want to grab one over there and I'll mark it out for you.
Okay. Right, grabbing a map from the pile.
Are you leading a tour?
No, I'm not leading a tour.
Are you right with stairs or would you like a lift?
I'll take the stairs.
What you can do, if you take either stairs around this dome, you can make your way all the way up. And the Game of Earth is literally going to be over here. Yeah?
Okay.
You're going to go through the glass bridge.
Right,
And that'll be it.
so up these stairs, level 3
Just like
and
this.
number 56.
Straight up.
Excellent.
It's on the right.
Thank you. Right, well, she seemed to know what I was talking about. The Game of Oh, got caught in a tour group here. Well, there was a commentary in Japanese, I think. But I'm the only one now on this big, impressive staircase that winds its way around the big central edifice. I seem to have risen above the crowds here. No one else is up here. Obviously, the Game of is not a very popular attraction today. Okay, another lot of stairs. It's a very nice building. And I must get a picture of the huge ceiling, the glass ceiling, with all the triangles. Very impressive. Okay, I'm starting to get out of breath. There's a restaurant here. So we're going into the Raymond and Beverly Sackler wing. Oh, a glass floor bridge that I was staring into nothing. Right, 56. Mesopotamia. Right. Lots of artifacts, jugs, tablets, but so far no royal game of Right, let's go into the other side. And I have found it. My goodness, there it is. How impressive is that? So there's the game board in the middle, and the tablet explaining the rules on one side, and on the other side, the counters and the tetrahedral dice. And it says, at least 6 graves in the royal cemetery contained a wooden game board inlaid with shell, red limestone, and lapis lazuli, whatever that is, for the game now known as the Royal Game of It is an early example of a game that was played all over the ancient Near East for about 3,000 years. So there's a brief description of the game and the route and the counters. You can see other examples of this game in room 10, room 72 and 61. Okay, it's actually very difficult to photograph it because there are the windows in the ceiling that reflect in the glass top case. So you have to sort of take it at an angle, but very impressive there. Right, so there are also other examples of the game in some other galleries. Maybe I'll go and find those.
Yeah, man.
I'm now in Gallery 61, Egypt Tomb Chapel of Nebamum. And in this ancient Egyptian collection, there is another game board. It's an ivory Senet board. So Senet was a different name for the game of I believe. It's not exactly the same, but it's very similar. And it has a drawer for storing the gaming pieces, and they are glazed gaming pieces. So that's the second example that I've seen. Now I'm heading to Gallery 72. I'm now in Gallery 72, and this is Ancient Cyprus, and I believe there's a copy of the game on the lid of a box somewhere around here. So I think they said case number 8. So, found it. It's an ivory gaming box, 1250 to 1050 BC. This ivory gaming box was used to play a game similar to the Egyptian game of 20 squares. Board games on Cyprus were enjoyed by all classes and crossed cultural boundaries. The box was buried with a wealthy inhabitant of a major training and manufacturing town, near Enkomi, in eastern Cyprus. The carving style is a mix of Canaanite, Egyptian and Aegean motifs, showing the cosmopolitan nature of Cypriot society at this time. So, I'll take a photograph of this box. So, I'm a very happy person, having found all of the things that I was looking for. I can now enjoy the rest of the museum at my leisure. And what a museum it is as well. If you haven't been to the British Museum in London, it's certainly well worth a visit, with lots to see for every taste.
You are listening to the Transam podcast. You can find Transam Mathematics at www.transam.org.
And that's how I got the photographs, which you can now see on the remainder race page on the Transam website. And all the links for the things I talk about in this podcast can be found at transam.org/newsletter. Okay, so filling a gap in Transam's English National Curriculum coverage, an online exercise called Furthermore has been created and added to the website. It provides practice for the skill of counting forwards or backwards in steps of powers of 10 for any given number up to 1,000,000. So that sort of filled a little gap that was there in the provision. Now another puzzle that's caught my imagination is called 9 Digits. It's an addition puzzle which makes it very accessible to even some of the younger pupils, and it's been presented in 8 levels of difficulty. So I've tried to make it so that level 8 is really quite challenging, whereas level 1, as long as you can add numbers, single-digit numbers together, you could quite easily figure out level 1, and each level in between obviously is a little bit more difficult, leading up to a real challenge for level 8. So have a go at that. You can drag and drop the digits into place and have lots of chances to try again if you get it wrong. So right at this moment, 78 trophies have been awarded by people completing various levels of the puzzle, but no one has yet succeeded in getting beyond level 6. So there's a challenge if I ever heard one. Have a go at 9 digits. Another puzzle that's been added to the website is called Cubicle Net Challenge, and your mission is to paint the faces of the 10 cubes which are each represented by their nets, and all the nets are different nets of cubes. You have two colours, blue and red, and when you finish, no two cubes, once the nets have been made into cubes, no two cubes should look the same, no matter which way round they are viewed from. So that's a real good spatial awareness challenge, and some practice using nets in a sort of a puzzle situation. The one that has, the activity that has just been uploaded and just gone live as I'm recording this podcast is called Hex Block Hunter. It's an online game inspired by the TV game from a number of years ago called Blockbusters, if you are old enough to remember that. So it's lots of hexagons in a grid, and the two players compete to see who can form a line across the grid of hexagons first. So to claim a hexagon, you have to work out the mathematical word. You're given the initial letter and a clue, and it sort of targets Key Stage 3, that's lower secondary or lower high school, I guess, mathematical vocabulary. So it works best with two players, or you could have two teams playing it in a classroom, but the rules can be adapted to create an individual learning activity, and I've just put a comment on the bottom of the page on how that can be done, so have a look at that. Hex Block Hunter. Finally, the privacy policy has been updated to specifically address the key features of the new European General Data Protection Regulation, or GDPR for short, which comes into effect later this month. And now, the answer to this month's puzzle. So, as I said, I was lucky enough to be in London at the time of the marathon, where well, this is sort of an old puzzle presented in many different formats, but I thought the London Marathon would be a good frame for this puzzle. And in fact, the length of the London Marathon is 26.2 miles, but you didn't need to know that to answer the question. And the fact is that the time it would take to run any distance averaging 10 miles an hour would have been completely used up by running half that distance at 5 miles an hour. So only an infinite second half speed would suffice. So the answer is really it's impossible. You can't actually run the second half fast enough to get an average speed of 10 miles an hour. I wonder if you figure that out. Anyway, thanks as always to all of those who provide feedback, suggestions and ideas for the Transom websites. Your messages are very much appreciated. That's all for this month. See you next time. Bye.
Thank you for downloading and listening to the Transom podcast. You can find the website at www.transom.org, where you're welcome to use all of the activities absolutely free, or jump in with both feet and become a Transom subscriber.